I let my husband die, thinking he wasn't enough for me. The truth is, he was more than enough. He was everything. But for years, I made sure he never knew it. I'm 77 years old now, and I have nothing left to hide. My husband James and I were married for 48 years. We raised 3 children together and built a life from almost nothing. When we first started, we lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment in Detroit with mice in the walls and a space heater in the corner. Slowly, through hard work and sacrifice, we built a real home and a real family. But the sad truth is, I destroyed what we built. Not loudly, not with some dramatic betrayal. I destroyed it quietly, so quietly that no one noticed. That is the kind of damage people rarely talk about. The slow kind, where everything looks normal on the outside. Dinner still gets cooked, church is still attended, life keeps moving. But inside, something important has already disappeared. In our early years, James worked long hours at the plant, sometimes 60 hours a week. He missed school plays, forgot anniversaries, and many nights I felt like a single mother who just happened to share a bed with someone. I had every right to feel hurt by that, but instead of telling him how lonely I felt, instead of sitting him down and saying, "James, I need more from you," I did something else, something that felt strong at the time, but was really just fear. I slowly shut down. It didn't happen all at once. It happened in small moments. When he forgot to call that he would be late, I stopped asking about his day. When he fell asleep during a movie I wanted to watch, I stopped reaching for his hand. When he didn't notice a new dress, I stopped dressing up. Each small moment felt like protection, but really, it was a wall. I told myself that if he truly loved me, he would break through it. He would somehow fix everything without me ever having to say what was wrong. Years passed like that. Then, when James finally retired, something changed in him. The pressure of work was gone, the kids had grown up, and suddenly he started becoming the man I had always wanted him to be. He began making coffee for me every morning before I even got out of bed. After dinner, he would smile and say, "Dorothy, let's go for a walk, just you and me." When I spoke, he listened carefully, leaning forward like my words really mattered. While watching television, he would gently reach for my hand. But every single time, I pulled away. I said I was too tired for a walk. I answered with one-word replies. I moved my hand as if I needed to adjust the blanket. I told myself it was too late, that I had waited too long for this version of him. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was uglier. I had spent so many years being the strong woman who didn't need anything that I didn't know how to let him back in. If I opened my heart again, I would have to admit that I had spent years pushing away a man who loved me. Then came the trip to Ghana. After retirement, James became deeply interested in our family history. He took DNA tests, searched ancestry websites, and eventually traced our roots back to the Ashanti region. It became his dream to travel there, to stand where his ancestors once stood, and walk through Cape Coast Castle, through the door of no return. He planned everything himself, flights, hotels, tours. When he showed me the itinerary, his hands were shaking with excitement, but I told him no. I said the trip was too far, too expensive, and that Africa wasn't safe. None of those things were the real reason. The truth was, I was afraid. I was afraid that if I went, if I stood beside him in such a powerful moment, I would finally feel everything I had been avoiding for years. So I let him go alone. My husband flew halfway across the world to face the history of his people by himself. He sent photos from the trip, the beaches, the markets, and the castle. One picture showed him standing at the door of no return with tears streaming down his face. I saw that photo, and I never responded. When he came home, something in him felt quieter, dimmer somehow. I told myself he was simply tired from the journey. I thought we had time to talk about it later. But 18 months later, James passed away. After the funeral, while sorting through his things, I found a leather journal in his nightstand. James had never been a writer, yet page after page was filled with his handwriting. He had started writing during his trip to Ghana. In one paragraph, he wrote something I will never forget. He said he had spent 10 years trying to find his way back to me. He said he didn't know when he had lost me or what he had done wrong, but he felt like I had been gone for years, even though I was still living in the same house. He wrote that he was tired of knocking on a door that would not open. That was the moment my heart broke in a way that cannot be repaired. My husband believed the distance between us was his fault. He spent the last years of his life trying to fix something that I had quietly created. There are two ways a marriage can be destroyed. One is loud: affairs, abuse, betrayal. Everyone can see those things. The other is silent. It happens when warmth disappears, when small acts of love stop, when one partner slowly freezes the other out. The second kind is harder to notice, but sometimes it does even more damage. Today, I sit alone in the house we built together. On James' side of the bed is a photograph from our wedding day in June 1984. He is smiling with pure joy, looking at me like I was the only woman in the world. I look at that picture every night, and I think about Ghana. I should have been there beside him. I should have held his hand while he cried. I should have chosen love instead of pride. So, if you are hearing this and you still have someone you love in your life, please learn from my mistake. Tell them you love them today, not tomorrow, not when the moment feels perfect. If they reach for your hand, let them hold it. If they ask for a walk, go with them. Time feels endless when you are living it, but one day you realize it was shorter than you thought. James and I had 41 years together, but I wasted many of them hiding behind walls. I would give anything for one more day with him, just to show him the love I kept locked away for so long. You might still have that chance. Don't waste it the way I did.